and welcome to another section of today's workshop. So I really thank everyone for taking out their time to be here today. So today we are going to be talking on a topic which is leadership presence and inspiring confidence through communication. So we are honored actually to have a speaker with us, and his name is Mr. Irete Aneto, and he will be sharing valuable insights drawn from his professional experience. And this session will also be moderated by Billy Kisu, and she's also one of our students here in RBSN. So before I hand over to Bilkisu, I would like to state few guidelines. Okay, so firstly, if you will be turning on your camera, ensure your background is actually very, very professional, and also mute your microphones. If you will not be answering any questions, please ensure you mute your microphone. And also before the end of the session, the attendance survey is actually going to be shared in the chat box. So please ensure you put yourself in attendance so you can have access to the slides and recording. I will be handing over to Bilkisu, so you can take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther. Lovely to be here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rome Business School Business Leadership Development Program. We'll be focused on the leadership presence, which is inspiring confidence through communication. My name is Bilkis Agbaji, and I'm delighted to moderate today's session. Also, we're privileged to have with us a distinguished speaker, Mr. Irete Aneto. Let me share a bit of his background with us. Mr. Irete Aneto is the Manager, Corporate Communication and Brand Management at Nersar PLC, with 19 years of expertise in public relations, brand management, and strategic communication. Irete Aneto leads transformative initiatives in communication strategy, brand positioning, and stakeholders engagement in Nersar PLC. He previously hosted his Ponds in Skill in top PR and advertising agency in Lagos, building a reputation for impactful campaigns. Irete holds a master's in corporate communication from Rome Business School, Nigeria, and a bachelor's of arts from the University of Ibadan. His professional credentials include certification from the London School of Public Relations, Prince 2 practitioner, product management, the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, as NIPR, philanthropy, university advocacy. Based in Abuja, Nigeria, Irete is a dedicated family man, married with 2 children and a serial marathoner with the Abuja Run Club, embodying resilience both professionally and personally. It is so lovely to have you, Mr. Irete Aneto. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you very much, Bilkisu. It's a pleasure to actually be here. And before I start, just want to also thank the Rome Business School team for giving me this opportunity to be able to share some 1 or 2 things with the entire student here. Okay, so before I actually start, I know this is the month for International Women's Day. All right, and I believe that a large number of us have actually done the needful by celebrating the women around us and in our lives, if it's possible. You know, we all know that the theme itself is give to gain, which is a beautiful one. And it's all about the power of generosity and mutual support. You know, the idea of that is to give our time, give our encouragement, or simply our presence, you know, to create something meaningful. And I believe every woman here, you know, will be able to do that to themselves, women supporting women, then we men will celebrate the women enough so that UN can give us more days, in the year so that they can celebrate us, not just one day for Men's Day. All right. The what we're going to be talking about today is leadership presence, inspiring confidence through communication. And I believe that what we're going to learn today is not the entirety of what is going to um, what covers the entirety of leadership presence, but it's just the major pointers for us to know, what to do at the right time. So the objective itself is to understand leadership presence, learn communication strategies that inspires confidence, then communication skill practice. You need to practice your communication skills, in your free time so that you get better. Then apply leadership presence in professional environment. So the thing is, why is this topic, why is it so important? Why does it matter to professionals? All right. We all know that in Nigeria, many professionals are highly skilled, but as they are highly skilled, a large number of them are overlooked for leadership roles because they probably lack executive presence. And we all know that in the corporate circles, how you communicate determines a lot of how you are perceived as ready for leadership or overlooked, and for most people, or if not everyone, communication gap is a fundamental that most leaders do not have. And that, resonates in everything, in every sphere in Nigeria. I mean, we look at how the government itself communicate, whether they communicate silently or they communicate, with the watchdogs that they have to speak to the people. And a large number of them do not have some of those basic things that will actually get people to to understand them and to also for them to connect with them. So leadership gap are often communication gaps. For some people, they feel that the moment they have technical jargons, the terms to use, they feel that that is leadership presence. And of course, the business environment itself demands influence. How do you influence the people in which you want to speak to, people in which you want to sell to, people in which you want to connect with, and that is not just using authority in the workspace. Leadership is not just the authority, but how you influence. And that also helps in the perception that shapes the opportunity that you are open to. So the question is, what is leadership presence? Leadership presence itself is how you show up, how you speak, how you make others feel, and how people describe you when you leave the room. And all of these things that is highlighted here boils down to you as a leader, you must have credibility. You must have clarity when you speak and confidence and how you connect with the people in which you are communicating with. So leaders who command attention often blend charisma, intellectual depth, and deep understanding of topics. You find out that the moment you have a deep understanding of what you are talking about, you tend to have this kind of confidence, not arrogance this time, but this kind of confidence where you can speak on a topic and you can share so much about it. It gives you confidence. And when you talk about it, you'll be able to give, if it's going to be about figures, you'll be able to give figures, and at the same time, you'll be able to tell what you know and how much you know about the particular topic. I mean, Nigerian leaders itself, there are a lot of Nigerian leaders in the past that, we consider them as that have leadership presence. Of course, we have the great Nnamdi Azikiwe, who's is known for his oratory skill, delivering speeches that is intellectually stimulating. Same thing with Awolowo, characterized by detailed and well-researched arguments. Same thing with Tafawa Balewa. Those are the founding fathers of Nigeria. And a lot of reference is made to them regarding how they've been able to command the people, command a presence because of the way they communicate, with the people. We also have that in the business world or in this other aspect of, uh, of the sphere of Nigeria itself. We have the likes of business moguls, we have the likes of writers, we have like those that are in leadership roles, the financial sector, the medical sectors that actually embody what is said here, which is credibility, clarity, confidence, and connection. Example of all of these people are this one that I've shared here. Not all of them, not all of them are here, or rather, the ones I picked here are just picked.
Hi, I think we lost our speaker. Might be a bit of network problem. So we have some students complaining about the network, about not hearing the speaker. Please kindly help. Yes, Hope. Yes, Hope. Dietetic, we get to that. Just a few moments, please.
All right, so Mr. Irita is currently having a network issue. Reached out to him and he'll be joining us shortly. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Esther. Please bear with us. We are expecting our speaker to join shortly. There's just been a bit of network issue, but he will be with us shortly. Thank you. Hi, Jane. For now, no one is speaking, but our speaker is to join shortly. You just please exercise patience. Thank you. Hi, Dayo. I've reached out to the speaker. He's currently trying to also get back to the session, just having a bit of network issue. Once he's able to, would help you aware of that. Just please kindly exercise patience. Thank you. Hi, Vivian. Sorry, I don't think I saw your message. Please, apologies. Like I said, we're expecting a speaker to join us shortly. If that was your question, please do exercise a bit of patience. He's currently trying to join the session. Hi, Miss Senator. Can you please hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 I can.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you. Welcome back.
Okay. I think my apologies for the slight issues that went on with my internet. I don't know why this happened. Okay. So maybe because of the bandwidth, I might probably not have not put on my video so that it doesn't take so much, um, of the entire, session. Okay. So from what I was saying, examples of some of those people, individuals, Nigerians that have leadership presence are here. Like I said, credibility, clarity, confidence, and connection actually gives that leadership presence. The question you ask yourself is, do you have any one of this? Because for you to have good leadership presence, you have to have credibility, which is knowing your thing, knowing your stuff, knowing everything, if not everything, about your space, where your career path is. You have to be knowledgeable about what is happening in your space, because with that, it tends to give you the confidence to be able to speak. And clarity is just the ability to cut through all the noise. For instance, you have an apropos doctor here. I know a large number of us know him. He's an influencer, all right? And because of what he does, he has made himself, not just because he's a medical doctor, he has made himself credible enough to be able to speak on certain issues. And he has been able to kind of, cut through the noise of issues in the medical field to talk to people. So he has a way in which he can influence people. All right. And that is when he can use terms that people can relate with. He can say, Emeka, come here. Amaka, come here. This is what you are supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to check your blood pressure, or this is what you're supposed to do when you are using his 10, when you're using 12, things like that. We have the like Akin Baloye here, who is in the political space. He is a journalist that is detailed in what he does, because he knows that there are questions people out there want to ask some of the people that come to his shows that they need answers to. And he has been able to build that credibility. And because of that, he has enough confidence to be able to connect with them, and at the same time, give clarity to say, this is what people said, this is what you say, this is what this situation brought about. How do you want to explain it? Because he knows that people want to listen. People want to listen. And that is just how it is. So it involves, fostering trust, showing genuine interest in other perspectives. So apart from you having the deep knowledge of your space that gives you confidence, you also have to have the understanding of how to communicate that you have. It's not about talking very fast. It's just about you explaining in details. Like they always say me like I'm a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. And so that people can actually understand it. That is for people that are not in your career path to understand certain things in which you're trying to explain to them. The likes of Ngozi, Okonjo-Iweala, we have Chimamanda Adichie that have leadership presence in their space. The financial bit of it, you have Iweala there. Adichie in the literary space that commands so much respect. For us to be able to have this that embodies this credibility, clarity, confidence, and connection to people, there are pillars that you have to know. All of them are encompassed in 3 aspects, and this aspect itself is communication, emotional intelligence, and strategic visibility. The question you ask yourself is, how do you communicate with people? People in your office, subordinates that are working with you, if you are a unit head or you are a business owner, how do you communicate with the people that are around you? How do you manage your emotional intelligence? How do you communicate that? That is, how do you regulate yourself? You know, how do you recognize and understand, to use one's emotion positively while at the same time empathizing with the emotion of others? How do you do that? Then strategic visibility. In the office, you need to be visible. It's not all about hard work. Sometimes hard work is just there, but you need to push both yourself, your presence, your face, and your hard work has to be able to tie together. Let people not say, oh, he works hard, but who is the person that works hard? They cannot tie your face to the work that you are doing. It goes beyond that. And how you do that, you can do that in simple ways. Communication, you speak to influence. How do you do that? You do that in such a way that what you are communicating is structured. What you are saying is concise. Then you speak in outcomes. Then you eliminate filler languages. That is, if you're talking. I know that, I don't know whether there are people here that are members of Toastmasters. All right. Those are things in which they will teach you the skills of how to be able to speak publicly. They give you tasks and the rest of it all. All right. But there are ways in which you can go about this thing. It's called the prep model. The prep model is the using points to be able to explain what you are saying. You give a reason for the point in which you are giving. You give an example so that people can easily relate and connect. Then you round up the point and you say it. And you are so concise about, if you use that model, you will not just be talking. I know a large number of us in our offices, you will probably have those that speak. Those that once they start to talk like this, they will spend the next 10, 20 minutes explaining a simple thing, and people will just shut down. And that is not the right way to say you want to communicate with people. Just follow this model. Raise your point, give the reason, explain it with examples, then you round it up. Like that, people will understand and easily connect with it. So by the time they are connecting what you have said in terms of the example and the reason that you are giving, and you end, they've already digested everything, and they will be able to relate with that. So, it's for example, you cannot just say, maybe you're in the marketing space and they're asking you about sales or something, and you just say, I just feel maybe we could possibly try to adjust the pricing. People will just say, well, yes, you have said something, but for you to have some presence in what you are saying, and because you have in-depth knowledge of what you are saying, you can speak with authority and say, I recommend we adjust the pricing model because competitors' data, shows a 15, 20, 25% shift in rise of price adjustments. Don't be using words like, I just feel maybe, we could possibly be, we should, I think we should do. No, you have to be very specific so that they know that you are speaking with influence, because the end result of that is to influence. And that requires a shift from simply sharing the information, to strategically guiding your audience towards a conclusion. So speaking with influence while being concise, you must align your message with the listener's needs. The moment the listener understands and is captured by what you're saying, you've actually gotten that person's attention. You've gotten that person's attention. And a large number of some of these things that is about communication is people actually lack these things. And in your work environment, there might be instances in which you might feel that, should I speak? Should I say this? Some form of imposter syndrome might be there. because that gives that lack of confidence in you. The moment you start to doubt what you know, it starts to give you that, it erodes on your confidence. So the imposter syndrome is a deep-seated self-doubt that makes you feel, exposed, that probably you are a scam. You are not. You know these things. Because you know this thing, that should give you the confidence to be able to speak about it and to be able to say, you know what, this is what I'm saying based on the information that I have at this current time. So for people, they feel that age in the hierarchy structure of the office should be determined by how people should speak. Oh, I am older than you means that I should speak first. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. Yes, you can respect people, but that shouldn't make you shrink. Yes, the person is older than you, but that should not stop you from speaking. That shouldn't stop you from sharing your own perspective, because your perspective can be different and can actually get people to start to think and ponder more on this. And it can open a new vista of ideas of what can be done. You can just tell them, even if the individual, your boss or whoever it is much older than you. I don't know how it is in your setting where you use first name basis, or maybe you have to say Mr. or the appellation, whether it is doctor or whatever it is. You can just tell them, oh, if you disagree with them, you just tell them respectfully, with respect, sir, may I offer an alternative perspective? But we all know that, of course, on the social media space, the moment you say with due respect, know that it is a bomb that is coming after that. But you don't have to give that leeway for disrespect of somebody that is, yes, older than you, whether it's your boss, but just tell them respectfully, sir, this is what I think. And I think this information I'm sharing or this perspective I'm giving can open this opportunity for us, or can get us to start to look at other aspects for profitability. So for some of all these things that can help you, that can boost your confidence, is how you cue your verbal skills, your non-verbal and verbal skills. And we all know how people can shut down the moment they start to see your non-verbal cues, which is the way you appear, the way you do things, your posture itself, avoiding eye contact. You are talking to someone, you are looking elsewhere. There is something in which I actually do with my kids here. The moment they come back from school, I ask them, oh, what did you do in school today? Of course, they're fond of not trying to look at me. They'll just be talking. I'm like, no. So we do it like a competition now. When I'm asking you questions, look at me, look me in the eye. For me, it's not disrespect. It's to show some form of confidence. Because sometimes, I don't know how some people would do this or would take this. If you look at people for too long, eyeball to eyeball, you find out that the other person tends to look away. You understand? For me, I do that a lot when I'm having conversations with people. I look them in the eye, even if I'm wearing sunglasses or wearing spectacles. I look them in the eye and we talk. And you find out a large number of times, most of them look away. But for me, it gives me more confidence to say, okay, this one can actually give you more points for you to actually accept what I'm saying. And that is very important in the corporate setting and in the office space. Look people in the eye and tell them. But before you do that, make sure that you have deep understanding of what you are talking about. Because a lot of people say a lot of things. They say a lot of things that is not correct. But make sure that what you are saying is backed with facts, with figures, with storytelling that you can connect with people and they can listen to you. Because you have this large volume of gamut of information in you, doesn't mean you start to talk and ramble and start to put everything at the same time. No, you can be structured in the way you are speaking. Be concise. Like I said, the prep model is using the point, the reason, you give the example, and you round up the point. So by the time you engage in that model, you will be able to pick the things in which you're going to say, and it can land successfully to the audience. To the audience. Like I said, for those people that are thinking that I do not have that skill, or I don't know how to go about it, I recommend that you join Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a club. That just teach public speaking skills. It teaches public speaking skills where you'll be able to talk publicly, and they give you assignments and all of those things, so that you can get better. Then also grooming. Grooming, you have to groom yourself. Physically, you have to look good. Then intentional silence. There are instances in which someone can ask you a question. And the moment they ask you the question, whether you know the question or not, you just have to give this intentional silence to say, okay, I'm listening to you. I've heard you, trying to piece your thought together, and you speak. If all of those things are tools that you can use in gaining confidence the moment you start to communicate with people, and that can give you that leadership presence. The most important thing in all of what we've said here, apart from communication skills, is emotional intelligence. We have bosses, or we have colleagues that their emotional intelligence is just zero. Is just zero. Or some of them, they don't know when to say certain things. You just have to empathize. You can have these skills of understanding what your subordinate is saying or what your boss is saying, and how to be able to communicate with that individual, not using harsh words. Because some bosses are very, very, I won't say toxic, but they can be very tough in the way they use words. And those words can actually get to people that they are communicating with. Yes, for them, they might think that is the only way they can get to assert their authority, but that is the wrong way of going about that. So emotional intelligence is something in which every individual has to learn, because you know that you are communicating with human beings. Emotional intelligence under pressure. For most people, they don't know how to manage pressure, and they don't know how to communicate that with people in which they are relating with. You have a situation where you are tasked with the responsibility of delivering something on your KPI, and you have a deadline and you have not in any way done it. Or maybe you were given, your boss gave you a task to develop something, maybe for those in the tech, develop an app. And the app has been developed, it is working first 10, 20 days, and 100,000 people have downloaded the app, and all of a sudden it crashed. And the CEO gets angry and says, we've spent so much time going through ideation, going through all this process, and this is what happened to the app. Why is it so? You understand? Of course, the CEO is thinking of investors, thinking of all of those other things. At that point, all you have to do is you have to calm yourself and say, okay, this is how I'm going to respond. Yes, we are in a form of crisis in a way, but this is how I'm going to communicate that. You just have to use a calm tone with structured response, which will help in building your credibility. Yes, we have the app has crashed. This is what we are doing to be able to get the app back up, so that things like this will not happen again, just to give some form of reassurance to the CEO, because the CEO is thinking of Naira and Kobo, and all you have to do is just to look for a way, emotional way of saying to him that, sir, I understand the situation. This is what I am doing. This is what we have put in place. This is how we are going to go about getting this thing right, so that you do not go through this process again. The same thing cuts across conflicts. Conflicts happen in every workspace, even in life. Conflicts happen. How do you communicate your emotions? Because some people feel the moment they start to yell and shout, that is when they have grasp of a conversation, and that is when they feel they are winning. I mean, for some people, I think it is said that the moment you start to yell, is like you do not have enough point to be able to deliver and convince the other individual to accept what you are saying. So you tend to raise your voice. And raising your voice doesn't make you the winner of a conversation. It just makes you look that you have lost the conversation. A typical example is what happened on one of these podcasts so a couple of weeks ago, where one individual was busy giving facts and figures and telling stories, and the other was busy yelling and shouting and supporting the other, the party in power, and it just made a mess. I watched a couple of minutes of that, and I was like, no, that is not how you communicate. Manage your emotions. Manage your emotions. There are times whereby, like I said, there are times whereby you just need to just be silent. And by the time you are replying, you reply calmly, in a calm tone. And that is what the other person did. In a very calm manner, just had to just counter some of those things in which he was saying. And that is what is expected of you, because it tends to give you this confidence that you have a grip of the conversation that you're having. Speaking up in meetings, we all know that for people, when you ask questions, it's going to probably happen here that if you ask, okay, do you have any questions? And nobody will say anything. But the moment one person asks one question, questions will not start to come up, will not start to come up. The same thing in the work environment. You're having a meeting in the presence of the board, or you're having a meeting in the presence of the executive or your team leads, and you are waiting for somebody to ask a question. And there are individuals in the team that, of course, anything they have something to say, they just raise their hand and they just say. Some will even interject you. All right. But to show that you have command of your space, it is not a crime to speak early, except you do not have the understanding of what is being discussed. But it is not a crime to speak early, because the moment you speak early, it tends to set the tone of the conversation. And setting the tone of the conversation gives you an added advantage to be able to lead where it's going to go, because you want it to go in your direction. And that is just one of the most important thing of speaking early in meeting, except, like I said, except you do not have what to say. You do not have what to say, you can be quiet. But the moment you know that what they are talking about is something in which you have deep knowledge of, speak up. And in a meeting, don't allow everybody in the meeting to speak and you are not thinking, I'm the last person, I haven't said anything. You're cracking your head. What am I supposed to say? For every meeting, be prepared for every meeting, because you have to have something to say, something that is genuine and important to share. That has to be done in meeting. And also ask intelligent questions from what you have heard people say. Ask them questions so that they can think. Because the moment you are in that space where the executive are, whether your team lead is, like I said, it's not just your hard work that is going to sell you. They have to be able to attach your hard work to that face. And the moment you ask intelligent questions, they tend to listen to you and say, oh, what do you have to say? I mean, you go for some meetings sometimes and everybody has spoken. Maybe the particular individual has spoken, and they keep going to particular people in the meeting and say, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think about this? It is not by chance that they are being called. It's because they have grounded themselves in what they are doing. So much so that when they ask intelligent questions, it gets everybody thinking. And that is the space in which you are supposed to play. Then at the same time, avoid over talking. Say what you want to say, structure what you want to say, and be concise with what you want to say, and speak in outcomes so that they know that, okay, this is what he's saying from beginning to the end. The most important thing about all of this in which we've said is about storytelling. You can use storytelling as a tool, as a leadership tool. You have facts, like I said, you can speak in facts, but stories also inspire. Stories also inspire. You can use data and human example. So in Abuja here, it's like the hub for development, NGOs and the likes of them. You have a situation where people are talking about impact and they just say, we impacted 20,000 youths. Yes, you impacted 20,000 youths. There is no other thing that's attached to that. But a situation whereby you approach someone that is going to be a donor and you say, let me tell you a story about Amina. Amina is from Kano. Amina's first year in school, she could barely read when she was in her first year. But today, she reads aloud, confidently, passionately, and proudly to her class members because of supporters like you that made it possible. Amina is just one of 20,000 youths impacted by your donation. I mean, the person will sit down and say, oh, this is it. It can paint a picture in the minds of people and they will be able to connect with what that person said. Instead of just saying, we have impacted 20,000 youths, give stories that can fit into the data in which you are presenting. The same thing you can use. You can use it for personal leadership stories in your office, whichever one that connects with it. Or you can use a client success story. The client might not be the client that works in your office, but a story or something in which you have read in a book or something in which you have heard, in the podcast. I listen to podcasts a lot, and I read some kind of books a lot. So because like that, it tends to give you deep knowledge of how to be able to weave those things, examples you can draw from how much you have read, from books, and you have heard also from audios or podcasts. Then we talk about strategic visibility. Like I said, visibility is important to you in the office space. Don't just think of hard work. I want to work hard. I want to meet my KPI. I want to be able to, complete my task. No. Let them picture that hard work to a face. So you need to be intentionally visible. Intentionally visible also requires you in talking about your achievements in meetings. Talking about it, silently slide them in so that people can say, oh, okay, you suggested this, you introduced this, you brought this idea. So that people don't just say randomly, somebody or maybe your boss can take glory of everything. And it happens a lot where bosses take glory of ideas that subordinates are shared. And they don't go back to say, oh, sorry, that idea that I shared here is not mine. It's actually from my team member that shared it. A large number of them also want to, rise up. They want to be in the faces of people. And that is why they will always and continually say those things. So you also have to be intentional about your visibility in the office space. If you have your credibility, you have clarity, you're connecting with the people in which you're talking to, you're working with your emotional intelligence, you have nothing that should be able to stop you from getting yourself and making yourself visible. So for strategic visibility, be seen intentionally. You can volunteer for impact tasks in your office. They are looking for people to form a committee. Volunteer. Tell them, oh, I want to be a part of it. I don't know what your setting of your office is. Volunteer and raise your hand. I want to be a part of this. And oh, can I join this team to be able to do this? You get what I'm saying? So things like that, you have to be able to do. You have to be able to stand out. To be honest, in the work environment is a dog eat dog way where people are there to knock you off if you are too soft. That is just so you have to be intentional. You have to be able to stand out. You have to be able to tie your KPIs or your ideas or whatever you're doing that is changing the business with your face so that people can see it. You are in a group. They said you should do this. You write a report. Or business which she finished last year. Um, she 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 ventured into there are different parts, in the agri space, in the value chain itself. But she actually chose and carved a niche for herself in the dairy space. Dairy is for milk, all right? And she started to write about it on LinkedIn. She wrote about it and were writing different things about the agri business in Nigeria. And because we know that women are not so seen in the pasture field, because the field is men dominated, all right? But because she took it upon herself to be writing about it and be talking to start like an advocate for dairy and pasture on LinkedIn, she has gotten so many opportunities, and she writes pretty well. She's gotten so many. She got an opportunity last year to feature in a side fire chart for Hunger last year, the United Nations sponsored one. She has gotten opportunities to moderate. She's got, all right. So opportunities like that can only come from the depth of knowledge of what you have. So because of what she does now in the office, everybody sees her as a face of, oh, you want to actually improve your LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn this, go and meet Latifa, and she's going to put you through. You understand? And that is just what the number of things in which she has done in the space of just about 3 years. She's gotten so many opportunities. Even in the office, everybody knows that this is, if you're talking about dairy, meet this lady bonding, whether it is your unit, whether it's in your department, whether it's your region, try and stand out and be that great person that you are. The presence in professional space, of course, you reduce the use of slang. There are so many slang that one can chip into conversation, especially at executive level, but try and avoid, reduce them, if not eliminate them. Then be articulate when you are speaking. Then master structured thinking. Then understand global etiquette. Once that is done, because we know that in the Nigerian professional space, professionals actually struggle transitioning. Whether you want to move from one level to the other, you have a lot of barriers. But the moment all of these things are put into practice, it shouldn't be any issue, especially when you apply clarity over environments. What am I doing? Do I have confidence in meeting when I'm speaking? Do I even speak in meetings? What I'm presenting, is there clarity in what I'm saying? How do I manage my composure when it comes to being hounded by my boss to deliver something I've not delivered them? Then your body language when it comes to actually communicating. Then what is your influence level in the office? You ask yourself, how influential are you to your subordinates? How influential are you to your colleagues? How influential are you? So it is just for us to just reflect on on these things, to know how confident you are when you're presenting ideas in front of your peers, like I said, in front of your senior colleagues, because the quality of a leader is reflected in the standard they set for themselves. So you need to set a standard and say, this is what I want to do, and this is how I am going to achieve them in the work environment. So building your leadership brand, you have to be strategic, you have to be calm, influential, insightful, and be a visionary. Then key takeaway, leadership presence is built. It is not inherited. You work on it. And working on it is taking that audit exercise. Ask yourself the questions. Do I have this confidence enough? Am I confident enough when I speak in meeting? Are my thoughts, is it structured? How do I even pass? How do I communicate? How do I even use my emotional intelligence when I'm passing across the information or the wealth of knowledge that I have? Then you also have to communicate intentionally. Then you should be tested under pressure. Closing reflection, what will you improve or change in your communication or leadership presence starting now? And that is a question I'm passing across to you. What do you want to improve on? What do you want to change? What do you want to stop doing in your communication and leadership presence starting today? So thank you very much for your time. All right, over to you, Bilkisu. Sorry about the internet issue that I had.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eretianeto. It was a lovely and insightful session. I'm really sure the students are also, very impacted. For now, we'll be moving on to the Q&A, which is a question and answer. So please kindly drop your question in the chat box if you have any question, or kindly indicate by raising your hand, and we will take the questions that you have. So from my own end, I jotted a few questions. It was really insightful. For me, I would say, being a young professional and someone who aspires for a leadership role, what are the daily communication, habits that we are to pick up and, try to develop on for us to attain that position that we want to achieve? That's one.
Can you come again with the question?
Okay, so I said, as a young professional trying to, aspiring to gain a leadership position or attain a leadership role, what are the daily communication habits that we need to, form, or what would you recommend basically for us to build that strong presence?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So the first thing I would say is, I don't know how close your unit or your team lead is, how close you are to your team lead, because there is something in which most team leads usually want is people that can ask them questions. Oh, I do not understand this, or I'm doing this particular thing. This is what I am thinking of doing. Do you have any advice that you can give to me, that can help me see it in a different light? Yes, there are some team leads that are open to that. Most team leads are open to that because they know that the more their subordinates work well enough, the more it adds to what they are churning out in terms of KPI for the entire unit. So your first one is, how much questions, how much learning do you want to do? You can ask your team lead. I remember when I used to work in a PR agency back then, and I moved from being a copywriter to PR, all right? And it was new. Yes, I was reading about it. I was, doing a lot of things about it, but I needed to know more. And I just asked, the MD then, because it was a small agency, not so small then, but, I was asking that, okay, sorry, is there something that you can lead me to read to know some of these things? And he gave me a book. I read that book so much so that if he has any other thing that you want, you just say, oh, Reza, come and pick up this thing and read about it. Because the first thing he thinks about is, because I was the only person that I've come to him to say, can you help me with this? And every time he sees anything, he just calls me, oh, read this. Oh, look at this. Oh, what do you think about this? That is what most team leads want, a situation whereby you can not question them, but also, because the more you share knowledge, the more you tend to know, and the more you tend to even start to see other perspectives. And that is what you should do as a young person. You're growing up, and let them see, because like that, they'll tend to see you as a mentee. Yeah. And they will be able to handhold you and take you to the next level. There are people that I know that have worked like that, and the moment they left, their boss left the agency, they took them along with them, because they felt that this is someone I need in my team. That kind of, I'm just suggesting, it's not, but it's just what is possible. Yeah. You understand? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have another question, but I let the student ask as well because I see a lot of hands. And also on the chat box, there's a couple of questions as well. So I'll go for the hands for now. So Abraham Peter, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good facilitation. Confirm you can hear me.
Yes,
Yes, we
please,
can
we
hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for shedding light on the subject. And my question is about one of the line of thought that you talked about, speaking in outcomes. So I just wanted you to give maybe an illustration or example of that example, like speaking in outcomes, what it means. Yeah, that's my question.
All right, sir. So the example I gave was for in the development space when I was giving an example of people just saying we impacted 20,000 lives. And I gave the example of you tell a story because that story embodies both the figure and the human element where people can relate with. And it actually shows the impact of what they have done, not just saying we impacted 20 lives. How did you impact this life? So with that, it tends to give you the outcome of we have what's it called? We have given so this amount of money to be able to do certain things in this area, whether in education. And with that, we're able to save 12 reading skills of the individual, of the children that is involved. You understand? So the moment you start to talk about it in that light, that this is the you are saying, people tends to listen. Hello, Mr. Abraham. Does that answer your question, sir?
Hi, Mr.
Hello.
Abraham, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm trying to unmute myself. Yeah, it answered my question perfectly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for the question.
Okay, so we have Ruth. Please go ahead, Ruth.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Ruth.
Okay, thank you very much sir, for this. Hear me, please. Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now. You went off a bit.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, I said thank you very much for the presentation. It was really insightful.
Okay. You are off again, Ruth.
Please, is it better now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I have two questions. One is when you talked about non-verbal cues, can you buttress more on grooming? You mentioned grooming. Then the second question is, how do you deal with the nervousness that comes most times from speaking of, especially like in meetings, you sometimes just want to stay quiet and just observe everyone. How do you deal with that nervousness and imposter syndrome that comes with that? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ruth. So for the second question, how do you deal with nervousness or you trying to ask questions? Um, this is how it happens. The moment you start to think that what you are saying is not important, then you tend to question yourself whether you should speak. All right. So that now tends to bring you that anxiety that should I say it, should I not say it? And before I said that, before I talked about speaking in meeting, is that make sure that you have knowledge of what you are saying. All right. It doesn't have to be fantastic or the biggest knowledge, but make sure that the knowledge in which you are sharing or the question you want to speak about or whatever you want to speak on, you know about it. Because that tends to give you that confidence to say, let me ask this question or let me speak on this particular thing. And it could even be from a conversation that was had or a perspective that was shared in a meeting where someone said something and it resonates with you and you feel that, okay, maybe what this person has said, we can do it in this way also. There is no, the best meetings that I like is the meeting where you ease everybody's, I won't say pain, but you ease everybody's, you make everything light in terms of saying no answer here is stupid. I learned that when I was in advertising because it is from the dumbest ideas or dumbest comment or something. That is where you can draw a lot of things from, and the best of adverts also has that. You understand? They'll tell that there is no stupid idea. Just churn out everything. And in meetings where you just tell people that speak up, just say what is on your mind. All right. It tends to make people feel that confidence to be able to talk in meeting and say, this is what I think. So for that, if you're nervous, just take deep breaths. There are breathing techniques that you can do. Just taking deep breaths and just speak. Just open your mouth and speak. Of course, your voice will quiver, no doubt, but just say it. And you find out that the moment you take that first step of speaking in meeting, the rest becomes easy. So holding yourself back is doing you a disservice. So the moment you speak, just say it. First 10 seconds, just say it. Take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out, and just speak. And once you overcome it in the first way, it becomes easy for you to speak. Then for grooming, they are asked, we all know everything about grooming. Just keep yourself looking good. You are tidy with your appearance because sometimes, we got there was a particular situation that happened in my office where someone was coming into the office because we be Monday to Wednesday, you have to come corporate. Thursday, we have a corporate outfit that we wear. Then Friday is native. This person was coming into the office from the gate through the security and he wasn't wearing his tie. Unfortunately, it was the time in which the MD was coming in and he wasn't happy about it. He was like, the person even talked out. This, you come in, you're like, when you get into the office, are we talking and I will do my, everything. He wasn't happy about it. That person actually was moved to a state where he said that if you want to do that, you can do that, state office. So situations are like that where you try as much as possible to look tidy. You're supposed to wear your shirt, your tie. Wear your shirt, your tie. If you're in an office where you don't wear tie, look good, look smart, so that when you are speaking with people, they don't just look at you and like, what is wrong with you physically? You don't have to get to that point at all. I hope that answers your question, Ruth.
Thank you so much. We have Grace Adirele.
Hi, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and
Yes, we
clear,
Hello.
can.
Grace. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So my first question is, how do you manage a boss that lacks emotional intelligence without passing off as rude or, a I too knows kind of person? My second question, you kind of answered it when you were answering the last person. It has to do with imposter syndrome because I deal with it a lot where I know something, but I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to talk. Let them just talk and get it over with. And then the last one will be, can you repeat what you said when you were talking about post? I don't know if it's postmasters program or a group that we can join, to learn more about leadership. Yes.
All right. All right, Grace. Thank you. So let me start with the last one. That is Toastmasters. Toastmasters. Toastmaster is a group where you learn public speakings and leadership skills and a large number of tasks that they give. You can Google it. It's an international, uh, worldwide known platform, Toastmasters. In fact, they have a competition that they do every year where the best speakers come together, and you get the winner. There are videos of them on YouTube, fantastic, where you learn a lot of skills, communication skills. So for the other part which you said I've answered, speaking in meetings, just say it, but make sure that what you're saying, you have enough information to back it up with, because there are people, of course, we all have them in workspaces where once they talk or once they speak, everybody's like, why did you say this? It's just off tangent. Everybody's going in one direction and they just come with something that is not even related. And you're like, why did you say that? For those people, that's some form of confidence for them to utter things that are off tangent. It's confidence for them, but they are not just channeling it the right way. And that is what we should endeavor to do in the workspace. You have the information, you have the knowledge, share it. Of course, there'll be instances in which you have this imposter syndrome whereby you think you're a fraud, except you submitted the wrong certificate or something. But you know that you walked your way to get to this point. You went through interviews, you passed the interviews, you are working, you have 1 month, 2 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years work experience in that field. You should be able to speak, to a large extent about what you know or about that particular perspective that they are talking about. Then the other one is emotional intelligence. How you deal with a boss with low emotional intelligence is a tough one, but there are instances in which you just have to. It depends. It depends. It depends on what your boss is doing. All right. If it is going to be on the job in terms of the person doesn't know how to speak to you as regards you are not delivering on your task. All right. Then you just have to make sure everything in which you are doing via email, via correspondence with whoever in which you are liaising with in the business of the organization. All right. So that is one aspect of what you can use to cover yourself, so that when the boss is speaking to you without or saying certain things to you, not minding how you feel, you can calmly, if it's possible, calmly just speak and just tell her that, or him or her, that you appreciate this, what the boss has said, but if the individual can say it in a more, not a condescending manner, you're a human being. I know it's going to be a difficult thing to say, but for you to be able to tell the person that, I don't know whether you guys have team bonding meetings. Team bonding meetings give you opportunity to be to talk. For my unit, we have team bonding meetings where everybody speaks. The young staff there, they speak and we ask questions. Oh, what is it that I'm doing wrong that you feel that I should, and they air their mind. Air their mind is like, we listen, we don't judge, that kind of a thing. All right. Where people just say their thing. All right. And you take record of it because you have to be able to deliver on it. And the person will have to answer and say, listen, I said this to you not because I want to belittle you, but I see a lot of potential in you that you are not harnessing. All right. And I want to push you to get to the next level. Like I said, I don't know the situation in which you were talking about as regards this emotional intelligence aspect, whether it's going to be on work, whether it's going to be on deliverables, whether it's going to just be, but if the boss is, verbally abusive in terms of running you down, condescending in condescending manners, then for me, a large number of time, I just say manage the situation and look at the exit door, look for an exit strategy, because like that, it can actually mess up the mind, and your confidence. So that is not needed. So like I said, I don't know which situation in which you're talking about as regards low, your boss having low emotional intelligence. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arete. So we have Jennifer Adamu. Please ask your question. Hi, Jennifer. Are you there? Okay. Depending when Jennifer comes on board, we have Peter. Peter, please ask your question.
I mean, based on the
Hello,
experience,
good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you, Jennifer.
Yeah, good afternoon. First of all, thank you so much for a very insightful topic, and it's also challenging at the same time. I would like to ask, yeah, especially in Nigeria, it's either you have a good boss or you have a boss who thinks that they're in competition with you. Like you earlier stated that sometimes the boss or your immediate manager takes the glory, okay? In a situation where you have contributed to your departmental development or even the company at large development, but is not seen in the larger space because, of course, your boss is going to go there and make it look like they are the one that have made this suggestions. How do you ensure visibility in the larger space without without being seen as if you're being insubordinate to your manager? Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Arete.
Oh, all right. Sorry about that. I was actually speaking on. Okay, thank you very much, Jennifer. Like I said, it's a very difficult one, especially when you have a boss that takes all the glory, inclusive of what you have also suggested to move the business forward, and also a very, very terrible one if you do not have that same privilege that that boss has in terms of attending meetings. You understand? Because you will not get a chance to air your part to say, okay, I suggested this. First, like I always tell people, is documenting things. Document things. Don't just use, we are sitting down in a meeting and we shared all the ideas, and a large number of all the ideas came from you. Document it. When you leave that meeting, go back to your email, all right, your company email, and document them. Following our conversation, following this discussion in which we had on this aspect of the moving the company forward. Oh, I suggest this, outline it. Let it be written there, because there will be a time in which, I don't know whether you do appraisals, where appraisals will be needed, will be done, and you will have to itemize some of those things in which you have done. All right. What meeting your KPIs? Because the moment that is an opportunity for that is brought forward, then you will be able to use that and say, I suggested it. So even if the boss has gone forward, or unit head has gone forward to present your idea, you will have to answer to this mail when the time comes, because the boss cannot include that in their own KPI. When you do your own KPI, I don't know how the structure is for meeting KPIs and who they pass it on to, whether your group head or whether your the head of department of a group or something, because they have to see the same thing there. They see that your boss have said, I did this one, and you are saying you have done this one. Who is now lying? Things like that. But the most important thing is documenting everything in which you say in meetings, especially when it comes to ideas in which you have shared. I tell people a lot that don't just say, we are going to do this one or do this one. I think I did it. Document it, put it in the mail, copy your boss, copy your group head, you know, state it there. Situations whereby they will not be able to deny and say, oh, actually, yeah, I just shared it. I forgot to say that it was the idea came from you. Things like that. You need to document it. It's for record purpose. It's for record purpose. So that's all I have to say as regards that. Hope I answered your question, Jennifer.
I believe so. Thank you so much. We have Alpha. Alpha, please go ahead.
Yeah, good everyone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the topic about this is very deep, passe, and very broad. And I would say I really like the presentations and also the confidence that you use in hitting the nail spot. So my concern is about the confidence and connections in organizations. Like for instance, as for me, I have a boss who I see as I would say a father figure in him. So sometimes the confidence and the connection that I would like to create in speaking to him or trying to give some suggestions where he thinks that his words are always the best. Sometimes that nervousness won't allow me to give my own suggestion. That is, when you have someone you see as a father figure, you will just assume that what he said is right. One, because of the experience, I would say, and the age and that of so that is all the things that normally I see, the confidence and connections. I don't know how you advise on handling this kind of situations in the workspace. Thank you.
All right, Alpha. Kind of understand your position. So two things. You have to be able to separate that, the father figure aspect and your boss at work. Because um, if he's not mentoring you to make you better, all right, and he's just using father figure quotes to, you know, not allow you share your mind, then there has to be a way in which you can separate it. Or maybe you look for ways in which where you are just talking generally as regards other things and you just chip it in and say, oh, whatever I don't know what the line of business is, but a situation whereby you have an idea as regards that, and just chip it in and just let him know that, oh, sir, um, I was thinking about something regarding this. I don't know what you think about it. You know, I feel that we can do this particular thing and it can get us to this space. It can move us from this level to this level. I don't know, because you have wealth of experience, pass it on to him. It's like a ball. You give it back to him so that he thinks like he's the one that has the idea. You pass it on to him. What do you think, sir? If we do it like this, you have wealth of experience. How can you refine it to make it better? You have, in a way, what you're thinking, what your own, what your idea is, you have passed it on to him to work on it. All right. That is if you cannot separate that father figure aspect and him being a boss to you, then you look for ways in which you can cook up all of those your ideas, pass it on to him, let him refine it, and make use of it. I don't know whether I've answered your question too.
Okay, so we have Lovejoy. Hi, Lovejoy. you like to share a question? Hello, Lovejoy. Okay, we'll go next to Favor. Hi, Favor.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank
Good
you
Hello.
so
afternoon,
much.
Favor.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the presentation. My question, um, it sounds dumb, but it's not. For someone who has a personality, someone who is funny and just has a bright personality, how can the person be able to ascertain leadership in the workspace and still having a very bright personality? Because what I've realized and noticed is because of my bright personality, I'm unable to have people are unable to take me seriously, even when knowing that my points and suggestions will help and would move the company forward. They refuse to take me seriously because of my bright personality, and I really sometimes can't control when I crack jokes or when it just comes out like that. So how am I able to, be a leader and not still change my personality to still be welcoming and accommodating to everyone around me? Thank you.
All right, Favor. In most setting, your kind of personality is the type to work with. Everything is relaxed. We don't, we don't, we don't. It's not a tough one, so it is good. So I'm not saying you don't have to change your personality. All right, but there will be times in which there will be time in which you have to um limit the jokes that you crack when you are speaking, all right, or when you're sharing ideas, you know, because people can take that bright personality, that enthusiastic personality, that optimistic personality, and take it as, oh, she's just there. But there will be instances in which you just have to draw the line. Everything all boils down to you, all right? You draw the line to say, okay, I have something to say. I have been asked to lead this team. Yes, we're going to crack jokes. Yes, we're going to laugh. But when it comes to work or when it comes to us doing or achieving certain things, let us face it. All right. Um, it is good to have someone that is not, so hard in terms of this is how we're supposed to do it, but give people an opportunity to express themselves. All right. So you are kind of the one of the best leaders, with that kind of personality that people will enjoy working with. All right. And because of that, your influence will be easy, you know. The influence will be easy. That is for the subordinates, because they know that you are definitely easy to work with, and at the same time, giving feedback, you give room for feedback. So for you just have to just draw the line and say, okay, when it's work or when it's for us to achieve things, you have to decide to say, I won't just drop that joke for people to laugh, you know. So that is just how you have to do that. And at the same time, also try as much as possible to want to take leadership roles in wherever or whatever it is that you have been tasked to do. Just tell them, I want to do it. I want to handle it. Even if they are not going to give to you, demand it. Demand it and tell them, I want to do this because I can achieve, the goal that has been set as regards that. All right. So your question is not dumb, actually. So that is good. So thank you, Favor, for the question.
Definitely not a dumb question, Favor. Thank you so much. We have Ruth. Okay, Ruth, can you hear us? Okay, we just go to Alalibo. Hi, Alalibo.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please ask your question.
Yes, my question is in an organization where the input of all is required to move the goals and objectives of the organization forward. And you have a boss who is so opinionated that it comes with the mindset that as a boss, for example, as a COO, he is like knows a lot around the whole thing. So in that case, if anybody wants to come up with an opinion or maybe a suggestion to move the organization forward, he said, no, don't worry, that is okay. I know that. So at the end of the day, you see, the confidence of the subordinates are subdued, and then they can't actually exude that confidence. Maybe because they feel that if you push too far, the boss could say, okay, I think you will be penciled down for redundancy. So that is a case in point. So how do you handle such a boss? How do you navigate your way through such an organization? Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Lalibo, for the question. All right, it's a very good one. So situations like this, you have to work with facts and figures. Facts in terms of information regarding how much of the ideas in which you have brought forward that has been shut down. All right. I'm not saying to use it against him, but a situation whereby you have suggested certain things to move the organization forward and it has been shut down. And shut down in terms of, like you said, oh, I know about it. Oh, we have to do it this way. We have done this one on. There's no need to do it. You can collate certain aspects of it and say, sir, we have suggested to move this with this idea. We believe that if we try it and if we implement it, it can actually move us from this level to this level. But because you have not, we have not implemented it, based on your idea that we should do it in your way, which has not in effect given that much impact of it to what we are suggesting. So in a way, you have not shut down his own idea, and at the same time, you have not shut down your own idea, but you are trying to say to him that we have tried your ways many times. It has not resulted in any significant increase or any significant impact. And we feel that if we do it this way this time, let's just attempt to do this one and see the results. But when you suggest that, because it is going to be twisted in accepting it because you have tried his ways many times and it hasn't improved anything. So telling him that if we try your own suggestion, then the ball is in your court. You have to do everything humanly possible to make sure that your idea or what you are suggesting does not fail. Because if that happens, it's redundancy.
In a very big soup.
It's redundancy room that you will go. So you try to make sure that what you are suggesting, and he attempts to give the go ahead to implement it, you have to push everybody to be able to achieve that, so that it tends to see the importance of your idea. And once you break that ceiling, all right, I believe every other thing will work. Because he will start to ask you and say, sir, what do you think? I think, no, what do you think about this? That is how I see the whole situation. So I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you. Yes, you did. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah.
Okay, we have Vivian next. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Vivian. We'll go to Toyosi. Please kindly drop your hands if you've asked your question. Toyosi, are you there? You can please unmute your mic to ask your question. We'll go to Jude.
Good
Hi,
afternoon.
Jude. Okay, Toyosi. Hi, good afternoon, Toyosi.
Okay, so my question is, I know you're spoken about feelers, yeah. So how does one eradicate speaking with feelers? What's the best way to learn to eradicate speaking with feelers?
All right. Thank you, Chelsea, for that. Okay, before I answer that question, I will also suggest to you that
Hi, Mr. Erete.
oh, all right. Sorry, my goodness. I'm so sorry. I thought I was on mute. All right. So for you to be able to, so like I said, before I answer the question, Chelsea, I want you to join Toastmasters. And like I said, I'm not advertising for them, but it's just a good platform where they teach you this kind of skills. So for feelers, what you have to do is you have to, like I said before, you don't have to be very fast in speaking. You can just pick your words because that helps you to be able to avoid using fillers in your conversation or in your presentation. So that gives you that extra confidence because you are picking your words. And the moment you try that a couple of times, you tend to improve. There is something in which they always suggest record what you want to say. You can pick up on a topic and just record yourself for 1 minute or 2 minutes. No, 2 minutes is too long. 1 minute. Record yourself for 1 minute and you will see the amount of filler words in which you are using. So all you have to do is listen to yourself when you record, listen to it again and notice the filler words and try to avoid using the filler words. There will be situations where you will want to use the filler words. You can just take a pause and continue. And that will help you in speaking. For some people, they would think maybe you are slow, but because you're trying to improve your speaking skills, that will help you. And with time, the more you practice, the more you record yourself speak, the more you reduce the filler words, and the more you get better in speaking. I hope I've answered the question, Chelsea. But join Toastmasters. Find somewhere to join Toastmasters. I know there's Toastmasters in Lagos, Abuja here. You have a lot of Toastmaster, platforms. I think it's about 1 hour on specific days where you just meet up and improve on your speaking skills. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to go to Maris. Hi, Maris. Okay, we move next to Obina. Hi, Obina. Okay. Telma. Hello, Telma. Are you there?
Jude said you skipped him. Jude
Oh,
Akaboy.
Yeah, you just unmuted.
I'm sorry, Jude. I'm so sorry. Okay, yes, please. Go ahead, Jude.
Okay.
Hi, Jude. We'll be wrapping up soon.
Okay.
So
Hi,
please.
good
Okay, hi,
afternoon.
Jude.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rete. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Jude. Go ahead, please.
Awesome. I have two questions. The first is something I've witnessed. So when some persons are speaking, they have phlegm in their mouths or they have saliva at the edges of their mouths or stuff like that. And it can be very uncomfortable for others, but for the person speaking, it's something that they probably do not know or are not aware of because, hey, you cannot see your mouth when you're speaking. What can people like that consciously do to help themselves so that they do not come off as being looking at them, because you have to look at them when they are speaking. It doesn't come off as being uncomfortable. The second question I have as regards communication is around proximity to power. So it's not a hard rule, but where is the best place to sit in an office? Is it close to the leader or something so that you don't come off as being how will I put it? Not bossy, but like you're trying to farm the leader because now you're speaking this, you're doing that, especially when you have people to still work with, teammates to still work with, so that it doesn't cause that conflicts between you are working upwards, you're also trying to maintain relationship downwards, and you have to communicate to everybody. It doesn't come off as if you are farms into the leader. That's my question.
All right. Thank you very much, Jude. Okay, so let me answer the second question first. Proximity to power. I don't know how the seating arrangement is in your organization because my organization, it is based on hierarchy. It's based on hierarchy when you're doing executive meetings. So you have the MD, then you have the two EDs, then you have the next most senior people sit close to them. You understand? So a large number of them, you might now see yourself in the pecking order of towards the end, depending on what your position is, whether it is towards the end that you find yourself. And there are instances in which you might be a senior person that might sit close to the MD, to the CEO or the CEO, whichever it is in your organization. That does not really, matter. I feel that you can have situations where you can sit close to the MD or the CEO, or you can even sit far away from him, But the most important thing is how you are able to communicate, what you know to executive management. Whether you're close or you're far away, it's just how you deliver what you know or what the questions or the perspective that you like to share. Then the second one in which you ask for those people that have saliva at the edge of their lips, it's what I think. I don't know whether it's a medical condition, but I feel that you if you are close to them, you can tell them. I'm sure they are not aware, and for those that are aware, what they can do is they can reduce the pace at which they speak, or they should be conscious enough to swallow whatever residue of saliva that they have in their mouth before they speak, so that it doesn't gather at the edge or at the edge of their lips. And if you're close to them, just try and help them so that they are aware of what is going on and what people are saying. That's but if it's a medical, I don't know. If it's a medical condition, they can see a medical practitioner and get other help as regards that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are running a bit short of time, so we'll wrap up shortly, but we'll take a few more questions before we do that. I have Thelma. Thelma, are you here? We proceed to Aizma.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Thelma is here.
Okay, hi, go ahead, Thelma.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for this insightful session. So my question is, so recently at my place of work, we had some restructuring done, like new management and a couple of others, right? And then, the time came to give the brand a new face, restructuring, how best to go about this. And then a decision was taken. I mean, several decisions were taken. But before those decisions were, being the most senior in the role, I had listed how this will impact the business and the customers at large, right? I had given several instances. I mean, more or less like used like up to 4 customers on this description, right? But then they still went on to take the decision. And when it happened, knowing that I have a line manager who's not in country, and then I have a country manager who's in country, and other management boards. So when whatever it is happened, we had to. My land manager was aware that I had done my best to stall. But then when the backlash came on some of the decisions, it wasn't so good on the country leads. And from that point on, it became more or less like, seeing seeing me as not a team person, right? And then he went on to impact a lot of other, things in the office structure where, someone raised the question about how you go about decisions when you're being sidelined and when you're being seen as the outcast and all that. How do you go about decisions like this? And when you're literally always being talked down in front of everyone, and you're made to look like your ideas do not carry water. So how do you keep standing tall, and how do you manage, and navigate these seasons?
All right. Thank you very much for the question. Tough one. But what I would say is you have done your part. Like I said, I said it a couple of times here. When certain things are being done in terms of ideas you've been dropping during meetings, or you stated that you wanted to, morph your brand to something else, and you gave instances of the impact it will have if it's done properly, if it's not done properly, and the rest of it all. Documenting it is important. If you documented that and you still pass it on to your, line manager, that passed it on to, the people above, and it backfired, that is not on you. Because you have done your bit, like you said, but how you did your bit, was it verbal or was it documented? If it was verbal, of course, the person has seen that I have, should I say the word goofed, but doesn't want to accept it, and is pushing you to the office of the redundant staff. What you have to do is you have to work your way back out. How you will do that is to, this time, is to listen to your line manager and look for ways in which you can pass across whatever the new ideas that you have. If you're given the opportunities, if you're not given the opportunities, you can subtly demand them opportunities. Or if you are not given the opportunity or the space to even demand, find your way into opportunities in the organization so that you can show your strength. For most people, they feel the moment they are being sidelined, all I have to do is just to stay there and allow them to do their thing, and let me do my thing. For organizations like yours, that you have in-country person and you have another person that is outside the country, it is always very hard because the person in country seems to have all the powers, except you have someone in which you report to that is outside the in-country person. You understand? So that you can share or copy them in all of your correspondence with your line manager. So situations like that, you just have to work yourself out of it. The aspect of your boss speaking to you in a condescending way is something in which you have to, deal with. Deal with in a very tactful way. And at the same time, like I told someone, if it is getting too much, just be looking at the exit strategy. Look at the exit strategy to move on. And at the same time, try as much as possible to still do what you have to do. That's just what I would like to share.
Thank
The thing is,
you.
it seems like we have bad bosses, and God will help us to overcome all these bad bosses.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mr. Iretianeto, for a very, very wonderful session. I wish we can attend to everybody's question, but unfortunately we cannot because we are really, really out of time. But I would like to indulge Mr. Iretianeto to please kindly share your LinkedIn handle so people that have questions can reach out personally and, get your insights and perspective on their various questions.
All right. My LinkedIn handle is Irete Aneto. Just what I posted on the chat section. That is my LinkedIn handle name.
Thank you so much. So before we wrap up, would like to say that we are grateful for the session, and I hope everybody had one or two, insights to take before we leave. Could you please kindly share some words of encouragement to all the students?
All right. Okay. Am I to speak?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. All right. I remembered when I joined the master's program 3 years ago. Was a very exciting one. I enjoyed every bit of all of these sessions that I had. You know, the Italian sessions and the leadership skills, the open day for job fairs and the rest of it all. The most important thing is for you to participate in all of this. That's the best way to enjoy Rome Business School. Participate in every one of those sessions. Don't just let it be that it's just one of those things I don't have to attend, or I log in and I go and do something else, because I know a large number of people do that. So don't be one of those individuals that will just log on and move away. All right, but participate in every one of those sessions. You will learn a lot, even if you feel you know everything, but there are one or two things in which you will learn. And also interact with people, interact with your classmates, you know, whether it's going to be via WhatsApp group that you are on, whether it's going to be via social media, interact. If you get the time to communicate with them, have a hangout. We had a hangout with our class, that's corporate communications. Someone came from, she's a banker, came to Abuja, and three of us are in Abuja here. Three of us in Abuja, and we met. That's after 3 years, we still, interacting. So please interact with each and every one of you. And that is where opportunities will come in. That's where you get to hear, oh, there's an opening somewhere, and they can introduce you. Or I know someone somewhere that needs your skill, and you can get a new job from there. So participate, enjoy the entire 1 year process, and you will be glad you did at the end. Thank you very much. And thank you to Rome Business School. Thank you, Bill Kisu, for this opportunity, for moderating this. And thank you, Mr. Idowu Adeleke. Appreciate this opportunity. It's fun. Actually, this is my second session, with Rome Business School. I had one last year, and I think I enjoyed this one better. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're on mute.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really had a lovely time moderating the session. I would be handing over to Mr. Idowu now. Thank you.
Oh, good evening, everyone. First, we'd like to appreciate the speaker for a very wonderful and a very insightful one, and the moderator, Bill Kisu, for moderating the section very well, being able to manage the questions and then get the speaker's response. So my name is Idowu Adeleke. I will speak very briefly. So first thing is, for sections like this, it's advisable that you rename your devices so that when we are taking attendance and then we need to send you the video recording of this section, we'll be able to address you appropriately. Having HP, people's phone numbers, as the device name in this meeting is not very appropriate. So please, let's take note of that. Now, webinars like this are ways we give values to our students even before the start of the intake, okay? And for students on this call, for the April 2026 cohorts, you are encouraged to go on your VLE, do the pre-master courses. The deadline for it is on the 30th of April, right? For those that are yet to get their VLE, it's also very important you make sure that you've completed your documentation, because that could be a factor to be delaying that. And then there is a link for the VIU documentation, which has been shared to your emails, and also some advisors would have also sent it to your WhatsApp. So please make sure you fill that link, fill the form in that link, upload the required documents so that your VIU documentation can be completed, and then the certificate can be issued at the appropriate time. Okay. Now, for prospects on this call, which we believe that we would have some prospects on this call, it is very important for you to know that we're closing for the April 2026 cohort application. So we give some form of financial support at one point or the other during the course of the application process. So the deadline for that is on the 15th of this month. So even as a student of Rome Business School, you're on this call, you have a friend, you have a colleague that is contemplating on enrolling. This is the most appropriate time. Let the person take advantage of what is available now and enroll into the program. 20th is the deadline for processing application for this intake, 20th of March, okay? And for those that may be saying, okay, maybe I should join the next intake, please keep in mind that there is an increase in the fee for the October 2026 cohorts. So if you're planning on postponing your application process, also plan that there will be an increase in the fee. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your participation. And I wish you all the very best. Have a wonderful evening. Your mic is muted, Esther.
Good evening, everyone. Kindly confirm if you can hear me.
Yes.
All right. We have come to the end of today's session, and I would sincerely like to appreciate everyone for joining us, and also actively participating in today's session. And I must say that we have learned a lot within this past few hours. And I personally, I have taken away some valuable insights from today's discussion, and particularly the reminder that leadership presence is very key in today's professional world. And also, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to our speaker, Mr. Irete. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable knowledge and insight with us today. Your contribution has really enriched today's session. And to our moderator, Bilkisu, thank you so much for guiding the flow of today's session, and also helping the session engagement, and also making it very interactive. And also to our participants, you are not left out. Thank you so much for making it to be here today. And before we close, please ensure that you put yourself in attendance. The attendance link is being shared in the chat box. Fill your attendance, follow our speaker and moderator as well. In case you have any questions, you can reach out to him. I'm very sure he's going to provide answers to all your questions. So thank you so much. Till we'll see in our next webinar. Have a nice day. Bye.